Resident Evil 5.
Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Resident Evil 5 professional difficulty video walkthrough. This is Chapter 3-2. It's called The Execution Ground. And looking at the timeline of this beast, this level is insane. So the beginning is simple. It's fun. It's just a massacre of us beasting on these dudes. And there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion. It's how it should be. It's nature as intended. These guys are really fast as well. So be careful on your shots. The good news is you can group them on this ladder and you can keep knocking them off the ladder so they don't make any forward momentum and they're taking damage as they fall off it, which is a nice added bonus. But later on, when we get to the oil refinery, shit starts to get insane. This is arguably the hardest level in the game, in certain ways, just because there are a lot of variables you can't control, and it makes it really, really tricky and frustrating. Something worth noting though, guys, if you're going to be using the vests, there are certain parts of the game that are way different without them, and it's kind of shocking. Later on, it doesn't really make too much of a difference, and with the guns and stuff, because the guns just do obscene damage on professional. And certain bosses and certain enemies, the vests don't make a difference with those either. But there are certain moments where having them on is night and day difference. Like, you can take 4 hits on professional, 3 to 4 hits on professional. That doesn't even calculate to me because it's just ridiculous when you come off of one-touch death bullshit. Oh, that's not good enough. And there's that. Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much. Not to worry. I should talk about it though, shouldn't I? You might not know what happened then. You know, you might think I've got dementia. Basically, Resident Evil 5 has several actions all mapped to the same button, and there are moments where this can be a massive pain in the dick. X picks things up, it opens doors, it interacts, it does melee prompts, it does a lot of things. I went over there just then to throw a punch at that stunned guy, and instead Chris dropped down. And once you drop down, you can't get back up. And my advice for you fellas is do not drop down until you've killed everybody, because it's way safer up there, because they can jump up to you, but they can only jump up from one avenue, so it means you do not have to worry about your back. When you drop down here, they can potentially come from any area, because they drop from over there where that guy is in that hut, and they drop from your right and start making progress towards you across the bridges. And you don't need to know too much about history to know fighting battles on more than one front is a losing tactic, so you want to be careful. The music here is your best friend because it's going to tell you when things are happening and when things aren't happening. Additionally, the enemies when they spawn or when they first turn up usually say some kind of statement or some kind of, "Yo dude, there's zombies here," and that's helpful too. Right then, the music kicked up, but there it was, you hear the scream? That's telling you, yo dog, there's bad dudes here. And they're all there, and I don't know if you can shoot those guys while they're on that bridge and maybe knock them into the water, but if you can knock people into the water here, the crocodiles will finish them off, which is really cool. I love the idea of that, even though I don't get a chance to do it as much as I would like. But these people are all going to try and jump across that avenue there, so we can hit them before they get to it and stop them from making any forward progress. And all we're doing here is using our positioning to get an advantage. Use your superior aiming and your superior weapons to take down these crazy dudes. And then as we push forward, there'll be a cutscene and there'll be another spawn. The first thing you want to do here is immediately back up. Make sure that you don't get grabbed by these guys because they drop over that wall really fast. The other guy runs across the other side. I'm not too sure. Go on, Sheva, get him. Good lure. There she goes. Here he comes trying to grab us. Nothing for you, sir. He's going to get killed by a crocodile. That was amazing. And then we can pick on his buddy who's trying to grab us too, and he falls in, and the crocodile's being a bit lazy then, so he just doesn't do shit. They're all going to climb the same ladder, so we can use this as an opportunity to do some double penetration, do some headshots, but you need to get rid of the Rambo 3 dudes. If you do not get rid of those guys, you're in for a world of hurt, because they have those explosive tipped arrows, and they can spam them, which is the worst design in this game, because they're ridiculously accurate with them. It has splash damage, and it's just a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. But you can get around it by making sure that they're never a threat by immediately killing them with, you know, utmost care. But pick up your ammunition. We're doing really good on ammo at the moment. We don't have to worry too much, and ammunition's never much of a problem on professional as long as you're using melee attacks. If you're shooting everything with your gun, you're going to run out of ammo really quickly. If you're being silly with what you choose to do and you're not controlling crowds effectively and you're not being intelligent, you know, if you're fighting every fight and just going gung-ho, you're going to have issues with ammunition. If you're playing professional without infinite weapons and stuff from a fresh save or from, you know, a fresh file kind of thing, you're not the type of person who's going to just willy-nilly run around like an idiot shooting everything. You've played these games before, you're interested in playing them at a challenging level. You're not that guy, so I don't have to tell you that, but this might be your first game you've ever played and you didn't know you could use infinite ammo, so hopefully these videos are helping. But when you're on this platform, you're going to get attacked by the crocodiles. It's usually triggers or A and X to dodge. This is one of the rare instances where those QuickTime events give you A and X, and I think it's because it's not in a cutscene. But I believe this is instant death if you mess it up, so you want to be careful. And I think outside of this will be the last time we see the crocodiles, which I'm not too sad about that fact. They're a little bit too lethal for my tastes. But they are dinosaurs, predatory dinosaurs, and you know, there's a good reason why they never evolved. Or they've not had to evolve, should I say, in the last couple of millions of years or whatever, because they're pretty damn good at what they do, and they're very terrifying, and I'm very glad that they're not a standard enemy in this game. Because can you imagine if there was crocodiles in this game and they could move as fast as crocodiles can move? Because that's one of the things you don't realise, you know, when you watch these documentaries, and they look like they're walking around like slow as shit and all lazy, like some kind of leather pimp. Turns out crocodiles can run at like 30 miles per hour or some bullshit when they want to. They can shift, and that is terrifying to me. It's like when you see those Komodo dragons climbing trees. Like, is there really any need, God, to make these buggers climbers too? That was the one thing we had. You know, like when you see bears, everybody tells you, don't they? If you see a bear and, you know, you stand your ground, you make loud noises and shit or whatever, or you just don't be in that situation, which is my defense every time. But one of those misconceptions is, oh, if you just climb a tree, you'll be fine. Bears can climb! They're really good at climbing, and they're strong as fuck, so they can lift their big fat asses too, which is scary, man. It's really scary. Why can this thing climb? Why is this thing so strong? You know? Why can't it talk? Why can't I talk my way out of this situation? I'm leaving, dude. I'm leaving. Take what you want. You want food? Have all of it. I'm going. I'm going this way. You stay here. Bye. Like, that's what we need to do with bears. We need to somehow give them the ability to use cognition. If they can use cognition, I can promise them a Mars bar, and they will not eat me. Because everybody's seen that scene from The Revenant where he's getting torn about by that bear. My God. You know, it really makes you realise, doesn't it, just how shit we are when it comes to the whole, you know, ladder of animals. We think we're great because we've created all these fantastic things, you know, like Pokemon Go and nipple clamps. But it turns out we're bitches. We're massive bitches, really. And if nature wants to mess with you, nature's going to mess with you, and it doesn't care. You know, we like to think, don't we, in those moments, we're going to be great, we're going to be kings, but we're not. We're going to be ragdolls to something that's way more powerful than we could ever comprehend. You can't fathom that kind of strength. Like, have you ever thought of yourself as quite strong, and then you've gone to lift something up, and you couldn't lift it, and the notion of not being able to lift something just blew your mind because you thought you were better than that? I think everybody's had that moment where you're like, what the fuck, who could pick this up? It's just too heavy. And then you think, what, like a gorilla can pick up? Oh my God, it's just terrifying. Imagine if a gorilla wanted to punch you hard. You're not just going to take it on the chin. It's probably going to break every bone in your face. Oh, it's scary. But this is scary too. This is really tricky. So get used to seeing that checkpoint at the beginning, because the checkpoints here are not kind. And everybody has crossbows, everybody has really good aim, and one crossbow bolt is going to ruin your day. So immediately do what I did. Take out the first two crossbowers. Did I actually do that this run? I might not have. I might have just dropped down and gone for those dudes. Yeah, there's another... Yeah, I didn't. So I dropped down because I got sick of shooting these guys and then getting fucked on the floor. So instead I ran for the floor guys, got myself in a safe position, and now I'm just going to divide and conquer the crossbowmen. When you're underground like this, you seem to have a better advantage because of all the cover. The problem is, it's really hard to see where everybody is, see where the threats are, so you have to be very tentative here. You don't have to worry about any extra spawns until you hit that valve on the middle tower. Additionally, when you climb up this middle tower, you're going to trigger a spawn when you start doing... No, there was a crossbow guy. He's to my left. Chris, what are you doing? There he is. Do not get hit. Whoa! And then we need to finish this guy off as quick as possible. So see you later. And that is all the original spawns. Once you've done that, you're clear. when we hit this valve, there's going to be a spawn to our left. And then after that, when the chainsaw guy turns up, if you spawn the chainsaw guys in the order that I do, you will get a checkpoint after killing the first one, and you will never have to fight both chainsaw guys on the same checkpoint. Problem is, to get past the gauntlet, past the flames, you'll have to kill the chainsaw guy every time to get to that gauntlet if you mess it up. And I messed it up a bunch, so I got really frustrated here. But here is the second spawn. If you run all the way over to this tower, where you do the zip line, there's going to be people climbing the tower we were just on. One of them has a crossbow, so get rid of him. That is a mistake. If you ever see me manually reload in this game, I have made a mistake and should be completely condemned. There's no reason to do it. It's just laziness and a lack of awareness that I just shouldn't have at this point. And it happens a few times. The only other situation when it will happen is when I come out of aiming to try and sprint forward, and the button combination of holding left trigger and pressing A is too close together, and it gives me a manual reload, which is essentially a death sentence in a lot of circumstances. That is the most frustrating aspect of the control scheme that I use. If I could change that, I would. If I could remap the controls, I would. But unfortunately, I can't. And what I would do is I would change reload to like hold left trigger and X or something I will never press. And I would change the right analog and the aim technique of the other control types to the control type that I'm using in the controls that this one has, so that I could use that nice turning ability and still have this cool feature of the controls I'm using, which could be confusing, but it could be cool too. Right, so when you do this zipline and you go to start spinning the valve, you're going to spawn the first of the chainsaw men, and I'm going to show you one technique of killing them. So in the first chainsaw encounter, we shot him a lot with a shotgun, and we killed him that way, which is an inefficient way of killing, but it works. And because I wasn't too bothered about putting him down or using some bullets because I was saving them, I was able to do it without too much regret. But now, he's going to drop down just on the other side of this fence, and be careful, do not shoot him during the animation of door opening. He will not get interrupted because he's uninterruptible. Afterwards though, he's vulnerable. So I'm going to blow some shotgun shells on his face. Yeah, this is not optimized at all. I'm being way too aggressive here. Because this guy keeps initiating his chainsaw attack, that's why we're not getting the hook option. You have to hit him when he's not in an animation, because you will not get the prompt, and that's the mistake I'm making right now. This is effective though, so if you want to do it this way, you can. But this is by no means the best way to do this, as far as saving ammunition anyway. But it works, so there you go. So he's on his face. You'll notice he doesn't have both hands on his chainsaw, so I believe that means that he will not get back up. I think he's dead for good, that one. There's a way to tell visually when a dude will get back up, so try and pay attention if you can. It's definitely going to be helpful, so you don't get put in a situation that's bad. And now we get to go to the other valve, and the other valve is the only checkpoint you're going to get until you hit the next door, which I really don't like, and I don't like it for one reason. When we run towards the door, we're going to come up against a big spawn of dudes, and one of them has dynamite. I think one of them might have a shield. It's a clusterfuck of people, and getting through that zone without being touched can be really tricky, because every time you don't get touched, Sheva does. You know, it really, really, really frustrating. So I must have been really tired when I first recorded this, because I mentioned earlier in this, I say recorded, when I edited it, sorry. In this video, I said it was 39 minutes long. It's actually 22 minutes long, and the excess was deaths and shit I didn't edit out for whatever reason. I've got no good excuse, but it exists, and there it is. But this is the second chainsaw man. I'm going to shoot him in the face, and then I'm going to run up and punch him with a melee attack. It is a very convincing way of fighting this creature, and depending on how strong your gun is, will depend on how quick this can be. Sheva is going to sometimes partake in this little fest of shooting him and kicking him. Other times she's not. I don't know how to make her do it more than she does. Sometimes she's amazing, sometimes she's terrible. It's a little bit frustrating because every time she partakes, she adds 350 damage to this little coup d'etat on this man's face. But she just doesn't want to sometimes, and she'll just kind of stand around and not do much. But the great news is, this is 100% a good way of controlling this creature. You can do it with a shotgun, although there are times when he will flinch directly through your weapon, which is a little bit disheartening, but it does happen. You can also do this with a Magnum, and you don't actually have to hit him in the face, I don't think, because the Magnum will just flinch him because of the damage parameter. If you have something like the Hydra at this point, you can embarrass this creature because the Hydra does so much damage. But we don't. There's him just completely walking through a shotgun shell to the face, which is depressing, but it's the game, so what can you do? And that's him going down for the first time, but this creature does not stay dead. You'll notice, when he falls down on his back, I think that means he's going to get back up. If he falls down on his front, I think it means he's dead for good. There's definitely a way of knowing which one it is, but it's been such a long time since I actually had that information, I can't quite share it, but I'm sure one good Google search will sort that out if you're curious. But this corner's really tricky, guys. Hopefully the dynamite guy blows up like that for you. I'm going to throw a flash grenade so I can get past these dudes, because I kept having Sheva just get in a bad spot here, and I couldn't get past anybody, and I kept getting clipped, she kept getting clipped, and the checkpoint is before the chainsaw man, so you're going to kill the chainsaw man a million times. But if you hit this door, you get a save point, and then you get this incredibly tricky sequence coming up. So this is kind of like Public Assembly. The only difference is it's much smaller, and you have to protect somebody who dies very quickly and doesn't move. And then the section after this is worse. This bit is actually quite fun and quite manageable. The next bit is almost luck and bullshit, and I hate that, but you'll understand why when you watch it. And if you saw my fail video, you saw a lot of this section. Uh-oh. Come on, Sheva, you can do this. Come on, Sheva, goddammit. Move. We're trying to win here. Saddam wants your blood. Get away. There we go, put him down. But the strategy for this section is to go ham, which unfortunately is 100% up to you. There's a couple of good spots in this room that you can defend, like down to the right just there are some boxes where you can funnel people towards you. There's also a spot over here where you can shoot people who come through the fence. You can shoot people on the opposite side, and then you can spin and hit that window, or you can try and defend specific spawns when they happen if you know the sequence, which is very easy to learn, but it takes a couple of run-throughs. I ended up just freestyling this because I got this on, I think, my first attempt, which is why you don't see any more degree of strategy here, because I was just kind of playing. And sometimes that can be a good thing to watch, but it's not necessarily the best thing as strategy goes, because it's reliant on your ability to play Resident Evil 5, and the best kind of walkthrough, in my opinion, is 100% reliant on what you tell people to do. But you can't always get that as a result, and there's a lot of luck that is happening right here, because Sheva's doing a good job now. She had a terrible job earlier when she was getting hit, but now she's doing fine. None of the zombies are going for Josh, they're all coming for us, and we're enabling us to control them quite well. Here comes the fat guy. You need to stop him. He will go through shells like any man's business. He's kind of ridiculous. That means we need to leave, so just completely skip what you're doing, make sure Saddam doesn't grab you, and then get in the elevator if you can. Just be aware that these are the moments where you're going to make the most chokes, because they block you so much. And then this checkpoint. This is one of the worst checkpoints in the game. If you don't get hit by a crossbow here, you have God on your shoulder, because I must have died 50 times on this section just to getting hit by crossbows. Josh died about 6 times, Sheva died a couple times, but it was me getting hit by crossbows. Like right now, I can get hit by a crossbow at any time. I'm just praying. That's all I'm doing. And I'm not praying because I don't believe in it, but you get what I mean. And then when we drop down and we push forward, there's going to be two more crossbow people that spawn over there. And if they shoot you, it's up to them. You can try shooting them, and then somebody will shoot you from behind with a crossbow. This is really bad. Really, really bad. I like to get close to these enemies because they seem to hesitate. Oh, speak of the devil, there it was. And I get revived, which is very lucky. But this section's, it's just a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. When you get down to this platform, this bit's kind of simple. As long as there's no more crossbow guys in your vicinity so that they can hit you with cheap bolts. Like, do you see that bullshit? I had a sixth sense telling me I'm probably about to get fired on, so I backed up and it missed. But that could have easily gone a different way. And all you have to do now is defend this panel with Josh until he opens the door. And in his credit, he opens this door really quickly, but it doesn't feel quick at the time because there's a lot of bad people. And you could fire a rocket over there and kill everybody if you wanted to. You could lay mines if you want to do that. I'm just going to stick with what we've got, and I'm going to use my grenades when anybody gets too close, probably. And I think I might set Sheva on fire, but I'd rather have Sheva on fire and me alive than me get gangbanged by a bunch of dudes, because when that chainsaw guy gets here, he's going to want to introduce us to his beautiful chainsaw, and we can't let that happen. So here he comes, try and get the stun, and I think after you stun him you should be able to open the door because it's very quick. There's the animation. I have no idea where we're going to be after this cutscene, so stun the chainsaw guy and hit that door. The door only needs you to touch it. It's a very fair door, but the enemies are going to clip and stop it from being an easy progress, and as soon as you hit it, oh, that's a sweet feeling. Didn't look like much, did it? Really didn't look like much, but it's, trust me guys, play that section on professional, you know, without your vests, without any of your inherited weapons, and you will understand just how frustrating this game can be. And it might not actually happen. You might get a really good pattern where everything goes great and you play well and you don't even notice it's difficult. I did not get that experience. I got bummed. And I got bummed for about 20 minutes. And considering it's like a 30-second section, that is way too much sodomy for me. I just don't like it. But hit the door and then we get to do this hilarious moment. So, for some reason, they decided with like a Z. I don't know what that word was. But the devs thought, let's make this really intense, super climactic Michael Bay get to the boat bullshit section. And we'll have a million dudes in it. People with dynamite, people with dogs, claymores set up that actually aren't there until you trigger this section, padlocks on doors, everything you can think of. They did everything they could to make this section seem like it was you against an army of 1,000 and you had to get to that boat. You had to get to, you know, Thunder in Paradise so Hulk Hogan could whisk you away with that incredibly catchy theme tune. And all it translates to is a massive clusterfuck of way more people than it's worth shooting and way more moments of luck than it is actual skill. So there's a small army of questionably coloured people here, so we're going to push around all the way past them, and I'm going to preemptively shoot the lock so we don't have to hit it with anything else, and then I'm going to throw a grenade at this massive bulk of dudes that just happen to turn up like a convenient elevator spilling out Yakuza in any of the Yakuza films. Here's another guy. I try and throw a grenade to get rid of the claymore. Note to self, claymores are immune to fire, which is probably quite realistic, but I'm not too sure. Note to self, dogs don't like Sheva. She's just something about her. And how we're alive right now I couldn't tell you, and how Sheva stays alive is a miracle. Sometimes when you don't watch her, she turns into a goddess. Other times, not so much. There's going to be an additional spawn on this corner where Josh runs towards a million dudes with axes, and then for some reason he thinks it's a good idea to stand up there instead of getting to the boat with us. So I have this incredibly tense moment of, why is the level not ending? So I throw a grenade, and then thankfully the level ends. But believe it when I say, that is a tricky section. It can be easy if you get a good run, or it can be tricky. All depends on how the game wants to serve up the dish, and sometimes the dish is full of dicks and they're all going in your face and it's pretty bad. Have you ever seen The Birds? It's like that, but way more phallic.